Let's bring Chris, our panel, in tonight. We have Senator Joe Biden coming up. Right now it's Newsweek's Howard Fineman, who of course also is a political analyst for NBC News, MSNBC political analyst, and a veteran of White House's past, Pat Buchanan, and the Air America radio host, Rachel Maddow. And good evening to you all. Let me start, Howard, with you. Again, the question of, is this true? These Iraqi leaders, the president said, have asked for an enduring relationship with America. Have they asked us to stay? I thought there was a considerable risk that at some point, if Iraq was on its feet, they in fact would ask us to go, and go in a hurry.
Well, some have asked us to stay, but that's the government that we put in place over there, really. So we're answering the question that we asked them to answer for us. But this is an important point, Keith, because the president made news tonight, I think, by talking for the first time about enduring relationships and really endless permanent American military presence there, which was the point that Jack Reed answered in his response by saying that we can't have, I think he called it, an endless and unlimited military presence there. That's another argument that is going to be joined right now, and the president, not content with backing his position here and demanding more money, essentially saying to Congress, you've got to give me more money, is saying not only that, after I leave this presidency, we're still going to have an enduring presence in that region. Pretty remarkable. Yeah. And, you know, he's not satisfied with as far as he's gone so far.
So, Pat, did we all know that this was was not a date but a wedding 5 years ago?
I don't think we realized we'd be around here, or we'd have in 2009, January 20th, 130,000 troops fighting in Iraq. But I do think this, Keith, the President of the United States, I think, succeeded in doing what he wanted to do tonight. I think he fortified his base. And secondly, he gave arguments to the moderate Republicans, the 5,700 coming home by Christmas, 30,000 more in July, changing the role of the American troops gradually away from combat. He gave them enough so that the President of the United States, I think, wins the battle of September with the Congress of the United States. He's got two cards that he played all night long. One was Anbar. He mentioned it again and again and again, the idea Al-Qaeda is being run down and killed in Anbar. And the second, Chris and you have talked about, which I find extraordinary, the president's amazing dependence upon General Petraeus. If tomorrow morning General Petraeus said, you know, I think this war is not going well and we ought to come out, I think the president would have no more cards. He has become so dependent on him, even though he's the commander-in-chief.
Rachel Maddow, again, I'll use that word verisimilitude. There was a certain amount of, again, to be kind, I think, cherry picking. Just the point that Pat mentioned, this reliance on what's happening in Anbar. But what's happening in Anbar is that the man, the principal sheikh that the president met with 10 days ago, was blown to bits today. And the switching of sides there from Al-Qaeda in Iraq for many of the local sheikhs to the U.S. side had begun before the surge and really don't have anything to do with the surge. As much as Pat thinks perhaps that this is providing material for Republicans to go and work with out in their constituencies and in the halls of Congress, did he also not provide a whole other set of stuff for the Democrats?
It was bizarre to hear him single out specifically that people in Anbar province can now embrace the United States without fear of being beheaded by Al-Qaeda. And I was just, I mean, my immediate reaction was right. They no longer fear beheading. Instead, they fear being blown up when they leave their house. I mean, to have made that comment in the same speech in which he acknowledged the assassination of the sheikh who had supported U.S. forces just today was really weird. I mean, the speech actually started on a really weird moment, too.
Yes.
There's almost nothing weirder than hearing George Bush, of all people, warn ominously about people who want to topple Iraq's government. It's like getting a lecture on the evils of prostitution from David Vitter. It was such a weird way to start the speech, and I think it was kind of a harbinger of a lot of weird assertions by him.
Rachel Maddow with the first zing of the night at half past the hour. And congratulations, you at home were part of a signal moment in the history of American political television. Keith Olbermann at MSNBC headquarters, Chris Matthews in Washington. Our panel for the rest of our conversation about the president's speech tonight, Howard Fineman of Newsweek, and Pat Buchanan of MSNBC, and Rachel Maddow of Air America Radio. I don't want to be diverted to talking about commercials in the middle of the show, but Rachel, why on earth did he buy that commercial? It's not. I don't think I'm saying anything unknown to the audience. I don't think he would have gotten a hard time from this particular network. Why on earth did we do it that way?
Well, it makes him look presidential to be speaking on his own terms. But he also, I mean, I think Bush kind of put out this fake olive branch during his speech in which he said, I'm now putting forward a way forward that we can all agree on. This will bring us all together. Bush is trying to characterize the differences in the country as if we've all been fighting about the surge, as if we've all been fighting about 130,000 troops versus 170,000. Edwards is trying to call the question and say it's not about the surge, it's about the war.
You know, I want to bring in Pat and also Howard. Pat, you work for President's as Communications Director. You know, this is not an equal playing field, this battle over this war. The President of the United States not only controls the government, he's Commander-in-Chief, and if he wants to spend military money on supporting our troops, it's very hard for Congress to stop him unless they're willing to really have a game of chicken with him, which they're not. Right. He also has a command of the media, as Brian Williams just pointed out. When the President of the United States wants to go on national television, he gets the opportunity. We just saw there a Democrat had to pay for time, a commercial. Right. But the way this is going to be played in the news cycle, no matter what Jack Reed says, no matter what you or I or anyone else says, the news tomorrow will be made by the president.
Sure.
Unfiltered, basically, right?
Well, you got instant analysis from this panel and everyone else.
Yes, but the news in the newspaper tomorrow, the wire services, the news is the president's words.
When you win the presidency of the United States, you control one part of the government of the United States. That's what you get. But the interesting thing about what Edwards says, that was a straight shot at Hillary Rodham Clinton. He went right after the
How
Congress.
So?
He went after the Congress of the United States. Defund them. Who is not going to do it? Chris, look at Biden. Look at the body language, not what he said. The body language of Biden, frustration, exasperation, anger. What he's saying is, we lost. He's got Edwards on this side pushing them to defund the war, and Bush is going to force them to fund it.
And why can't they defund the war? You know why they can't do it.
Because they don't have the courage of their conviction.
Well, why don't they defund? Because they're afraid. Biden believes, and has said this many times, I will not have the blood on my sleeve of any soldier who dies because I cut off his equipment.
Here's another point Brian Williams made very effectively. I'll be very short. This is about the coming debate in the next decade, who lost Iraq. And what George Bush is saying tonight is, I'm not going to be the guy that lost it.
That's a political decision.
It's a legacy decision, and it's also what he believes is right.
It's a political decision to look good in history.
He believes it. He believes we will lose it if you defund the war.
That's why, Chris, he's talking in part about the enduring relationship. He's saying, in my vision, we're going to be there, and we're going to stay there, and that's my answer. That's what George Bush is saying. Right. And he's daring the Democrats to say that their answer is to get out. Now, having just been in Iowa and talked to the Democrats out there, if you ask Democrats in Iowa what their plan is, it's two words: get out. Get out. And John Edwards is playing for the Iowa caucus goers there.
Gotcha.
And by the way, not just attacking Hillary, but everybody else, including Barack Obama, who just gave a big anti-war speech. Edwards is trying to double down, saying
Can he get past him?
He's daring them to try to defund the war. That's what his standard is going to be, and that's going to be the argument in Iowa starting on Sunday at Senator Harkin's.
Well done.
To Senator Harkin's event out there, where all the candidates are going to be climbing over each other to become anti-war. Biden's worried about that blood question you're talking about.
I'd like to do a quick Raider record before we sign off. Rachel Maddow first. Return on success. Is that phrase going to linger, or is that the last time we heard it tonight?
I think that's the last time we heard it. I'm having a hard time remembering it already.
Pat?
It's not immortal.
Howard?
I don't think so.
I think General Petraeus says that it's not really a great phrase.
That summarizes it.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank our panel in Washington. As you see them from left to right, Rachel Maddow of Air America Radio, Howard Fineman of MSNBC, and, of course, of Newsweek, a political analyst for NBC News, and our friend Pat Buchanan, MSNBC analyst. Great pleasure for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Let's wrap this up.